Hello friends and welcome to Figure Study, where we're back with more NemeSeptember in the form of I believe this was an AOYI or AOYI whatever mech knockoff of Studio Series 38, I think, Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime. Specifically a knockoff that is in Nemesis Prime colors, as you can clearly see, and also of course it is because this is September, it's Nemesis Prime for the entire month. And so here we have it. This is a pretty decent figure. I mean, it's the Bumblebee Optimus Prime figure, so all the stuff that was great about the Studio Series Optimus Prime figure is also great about this. I don't know that it's necessarily because it's a knockoff or if it's just like the mold, but like there are certain things that don't quite want to line up all the way, but And this is the rifle. Looks like the ion blaster, kind of. It's got that sort of telltale weird shape on the back. It's weird though, I've actually had two versions of this figure. Long story as to why I sold one off, kept this one. The first version that I got of this figure, which is the one that I sold off, the rifle actually had a little bit of this, you can barely see it in the truck mode, but there's that little metallic-y blue color. It actually had some of that in the rifle. For whatever reason, this version, the second version that I got, did not have that metallic blue color in the rifle. No idea why. The rest of the figure is exactly the same as the first version. It's just the coloring on the rifle that was different. As for the figure itself, it is Studio Series Optimus Prime. It's the sort of real-world looking, very G1-y cab, but in Nemesis colors, and I like it a lot. I do wish that they had painted the front windows in this red color, because you've got the opaque window on the side, then the translucent windows on the front, and it just looks a little off. It looks fine in the robot mode, but I feel like if those were painted, it wouldn't have made a big difference in robot mode either, so it would have been fine. But it's a nice figure. It's pretty much the same as the original, so have about the same thing to say about it, but I do like the deco here, as is always the case with the Nemesis Prime decos. I really love the black with silver and red accents. It pops really, really nicely. There's no new paint, at least in this mode from what I can remember. It's just in, like it's on black plastic and the windows are red, so the silver's the same as it was in the original Studio Series figure. And it looks great, and they painted the rims, but I think the rims in the original were painted too. Not much else I could say about this. It's a solid cab. It looks good in these colors. I like it a lot. I like the robot mode better, but I think this works. Alright, as for size comparisons, here he is compared to the... space thing's a little bit different. There we go. Here he is compared to the standard deluxes that I've been using, and he doesn't look all that big next to the downshift. He still looks cool, just scale-wise, doesn't look like a Voyager-sized figure, even though this isn't technically a Voyager because it's a knockoff, but the original figure was a Voyager. And here he is with the duck tank. Okay, time to transform this thing into a Nemesis Prime. So if you're familiar with the Studio Series Prime figure, then you know exactly what to expect. This is the exact same transformation. It's not going to be anything different here, just a different color scheme. That said, let's get to it. here we have the AOYI Mech whatever Studio Series knockoff Nemesis Prime. And it's Studio Series Prime, but in Nemesis colors. And it's cool. I mean, this is a great figure in its own right. The mold, I mean, it's really solid. Really, really like it. And in this color scheme, it looks particularly cool and menacing. Primarily black everywhere, yes, with like little accents of the metallic blue, red windows, which are just great. But there are some slightly tweaked paint apps here and there. There's the bits in the midsection down here that have been painted in the original version. I believe these were left... No, wait, no, these weren't unpainted. They were painted black, I believe. I don't remember if this was painted silver up there. I think it was. But these details on the forearms were definitely not painted. And so I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that's like some extra paint that I never noticed. Or something rubbed off, but no, that stinks. Yes, aside from the details on the forearms, possibly some stuff going on in the midsection, and these little stripes on the backs of the hands, there are no new paint applications in this figure that I can recall compared to the original, but I still really like this color scheme. This looks, like I said, appropriately menacing. I've said it before with a lot of these figures, but I love the primarily black with the teal or metallic blue and red accents. It just works so well. And since this is an already awesome figure, getting it in the Nemesis colors is better, I guess. The head is also exactly the same as Studio Series Prime, except evil. So instead of blue head, you got black head with this kind of gunmetal color for the faceplate and the little head crest thing. And they actually did paint a little bit on the sides of the ears, or what passed for ears. So I guess that's a new detail that they painted as well. And the eyes are appropriately a very nice red. Really like how that looks. And then you also have the rifle, which you can peg onto his back here. So if you wanted to, you could peg it back there just to keep it out of the way. Or, since, you know, it is a rifle and he is evil, you can give him his gun so that he can shoot Autobots. And yeah, it's a very, very cool, very solid figure. The articulation's exactly the same as the Studio Series figure because, like I said, it's just that figure again, where you've got the in and out motion on the arms, and these little flaps will get out of the way, all the way around, bicep swivel, ever so slightly past 90 degrees on the elbows. These smokestacks still rotate for some reason, though they seem less inclined to rotate on this than they did in the original figure. Wrist rotation. And in addition to wrist rotation, you can rotate the forearm, but that's for part of the transformation. Moving these arms out of the way, you can see that you get waist rotation. Legs move forward. The way that they move, the attachment point is like closer to the front. So that allows him to kick forward pretty far, but when you go to kick back, his butt kind of hits into the stuff above him, so he can't go back that far. You can go out all the way, you got thigh swivel, over 90 degrees of knee, which is nice. And then for the feet, it has the same problem that the Studio Series figure has with the feet, where the way that this attaches, it's pretty easy to kind of bump that out of place. But you can move the feet down pretty far. Not really any forward, but you do get some ankle tilt as well. And you can do the same thing that you can do with the Studio Series version, where you can kind of intentionally mistransform it, bring this down, rather than hooking it over that little tab. So that gives you a little bit more, like you don't have to worry about unseating it, but that creates different problems. One thing that I have noticed with this version, which I believe is because it's KO, for whatever reason, I cannot get the shins to properly tab in. They just don't want to do it. Like, push really hard and they just do not want to tab in. These will flop out really, really quickly. That's disappointing, because there is that tab in there and that slot there that I think it should go into, but nope. All the figure's flaws kind of make it easier to work around other flaws, because they all flaw in tandem, I guess. Anyway, let's move this particular version of Nemesis off to the side so we can do our size comparisons. Here he is with the standard-ish deluxe crew, and this, I think, height-wise, gets across the fact that he is, in fact, a bigger figure. Truck mode didn't quite convey that, but yeah, height-wise in robot mode, he definitely seems like he's a bigger toy. And here he is with the duck tank. And that is going to do it for yet another Nemesis Prime. This guy, as I said, he does have some unfortunate bits to his engineering, just as a byproduct of him being a knockoff, that aren't quite up to par with the official figure, but they haven't released an official figure in a Nemesis color scheme yet, so this is what I'm gonna go with. I am happy with it. I mean, it wasn't that expensive. I think this guy actually cost a little bit less than the standard Optimus Prime figure, so, you know, for a knockoff that's ever so slightly lower in quality in terms of QC, but has this color scheme, I think that's acceptable. But I'm curious of what you all think of this thing. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. As always, art is more than meets the eye, and next time I'm finally going to be looking at a thing I teased a couple videos back when we go back to the perfect effect well.